I should have grabbed a beer, but I didn't. Oh well. Let's talk about the economy, huh? I said it many years ago, and I've been repeating it. So let me say it again. Who gives a shit about their economy when you can have your own? Problem is, a lot of people are very much dependent on the system and they like the luxuries it affords them. It is what it is. And creating your own economy, I guess that's not for everybody. And when I say that, obviously I'm talking about, maybe it's not so obvious, you and hopefully a group of like minded people. It's not impossible. Think of the early European settlers into the United States, moving further west from the East Coast into this, to them anyway, uncharted territory, right? Well, I guess if you really get into what chartered means, it was uncharted. These people were literally trying to get away from the corporation, right? They were interested in their own economies. And that's still possible to this day, but people watch too much TV and they think the world is tiny. We all think we know what it is in the first place, when there are some people out there, and God bless their souls, right or wrong, who question whether what this rock that we live on is in actuality. But so what if that's all that they do, right? At any rate, let's get back on topic of the economy. This whole idea that I'm sure you've been hearing for years, seems like myself, it's been at least a couple of decades. And that's right around the time my eyes were open. So it's probably been going on, likely that it has been going on for a lot longer than that. And what I'm talking about is the dollar crash, right? It was supposed to happen, it would seem, so many times already, and yet it hasn't. So any free thinker should stop and ask themselves why, instead of repeating that it's going to crash, the dollar's going to crash, be afraid, be very afraid. Because ultimately, in my opinion, that's what it is about, at least for a lot of people. At least for the people trying to sell you gold, right? And I don't have anything against gold. I'm just telling you what it is, where it came from, right? Just speaking the truth about gold gets a lot of people triggered because they're not as free thinkers as they think they are. Or as free of thinkers. Because ultimately, what they end up doing is repeating Ron Paul's, Peter Schiff's, whoever else, right? Gold, gold, gold. When in reality, gold was just, it's the money of the Roman Empire, always was. Always will be. Anything can be money. Anything. But I don't have anything against gold, right? And it could save your ass one day. It really could, right? But stop acting like you're outside of the system when you're just a part of it, okay? Because ultimately, the gold is valued in dollars. So let's get back to the topic at hand, and that is the crash of the aforementioned dollar. If it was supposed to happen, or I've been hearing about it supposedly coming soon for at least 2 decades, and other people older than myself probably longer, How come it hasn't happened yet? When is it going to happen? Wasn't gold supposed to be, this is all related obviously, $10,000 by now? Simple question. I keep asking it. No one can answer it. If gold is going to go through the roof, why are all these people saying that at the same time selling it? Simple, basic fucking logic. No need to get butthurt. Answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the question. Oh. So, the reason why the dollar, they say, is going to crash, well, the reason why they say it in the first place, in my opinion, a lot of people, is to keep you in fear, scare you into doing something, or perhaps more importantly, scare you into complacency, not doing anything, just freezing with fear. Just as my dog over there, every time she hears a firecracker, firework, or something along those lines, thunder. Poor girl, scared of the boom boom. You wanna come say hello, Ginger? Oh, so scared of the boom boom. Go lay down over there or something. Go. Good girl. No? Okay. Hey, get out of here. Sorry about that. Go. It's okay. Gold. Dollar crash. Okay. The reason why the dollar is going to crash is because the money supply is constantly being inflated, right? QE. And inflation is all that it is, right? Just printing, creating more money. It's money creation, right? Injecting more money into the economy. Inflation is often mistaken as price increase because that's supposed to be the result of inflation. But I mean, the way the economy has been inflated with these supposedly trillions and trillions of dollars, how come the prices haven't gone through the roof? Yeah, there's been a steady increase in prices of everything, except oil, right? Except gold. There's been some increase, but come on, man, 10 G's. But yeah, the basic idea is that there's going to be more and more and more and more money chasing after the same amount of goods, to where these goods will just skyrocket in price and no one's going to be able to afford them, or money's going to become worthless, and so on and so forth. I'm no economist, okay? But ultimately, that still doesn't make any sense to me. Why that would be a problem anyway? So what if shit goes up in price? If we all got shit tons of money, wheelbarrows of money, right? So what if it costs more? The reason why it costs more is because we got more money, right? So we just pay more for shit. Why is that a problem when we got more money? Well, because, somebody's skimming off the top, taking that money and doing something else with it. But just as there are inflationary measures, there are deflationary measures. Taxes, for example, which seem to have been going up too. If QE, or money inflation, is money creation, taxation, income tax collection, is the destruction of money. So it's deflationary. So just as there's money created when you pay taxes, some of that money is taken out of and destroyed. It's just numbers on the computer that get X'd out, right? There are other deflationary measures, like Ecuador, for example, was put on the dollar standard, or adopted the dollar, I forget, 15 years ago or something like that, right? So all this money from US was funneled into the Ecuadorian economy, right? And this has happened all over the world. And whenever there's a problem with this or that economy, people always run to the dollar, right? Pulling it out of the American economy and creating more of a demand for the dollar. And while that's not deflationary necessarily, the balloon which we're inflating with this money, right, or this economy that we're inflating with this money, grows bigger. So technically it's not deflationary, but it has the same effect, right? There are marijuana growers in California, and I'm sure tons of other places, and insert the drug of choice when it comes to marijuana, and they're burying tons and tons of money in Mendocino County and NorCal, all over the place, right? Probably billions of dollars just buried underground because they can't launder it fast enough. At least that's what was happening before the shit became quasi-legal or legal, whatever it is, right? And some of those people got so high they forgot where they put their stash, or they couldn't do anything with it, and it's just frozen underground somewhere, or they got killed, they died, and the shit just is rotting away there, right? Who else somewhere in the world is doing similar things, right? These are deflationary measures. There's grandmas stashing the 50-cent coin, which was the second most minted coin, I think, after the penny in the history of the United States. And granted, I think that's only billions of dollars, but it's just, one of those things. The second most minted coin in the history of the United States, but it's not in circulation. Whenever do you see 50-cent coins? Down here you do. But most of them are stashed under, American grandma's pillows. Well, that's, in a sense, deflationary. Well, not really, but that money is frozen, right? It's not moving around, which we'll get to, a concept that we'll get to in just a second. What else is out there that's happening that's, in a way, deflationary, right? I'm just giving you some examples that I could think of. And there's significant amounts of money, right? These deflationary measures. Then there's this whole idea of a certain amount of goods and a certain amount of money chasing after a certain amount of goods. And people seem to think or believe that the creation of money outpaces the creation of goods. But I mean, just look at all the bullshit that they're producing and selling to you that you don't need. And how China is in the midst of all that, right? They don't want the dollar to collapse. Why would they? So just as the money supply is being, or the amount of money in the economy is being inflated, there are constantly new goods being created too that money is chasing after, right? So that staves off this supposedly inevitable increase in prices that's supposed to make the economy go belly up. And ultimately, it's not just the amount of money that's in the economy, but money velocity. Is that money, buried underground or under somebody's pillow or in someone's bank account? Or is it actually being used to chase after these goods? How many transactions are there actually happening? Which leads us to our current state of affairs, right? Large sectors of the world economy, local economies being shut down, money not exchanging hands, money velocity being ground almost to a halt. Which makes me wonder if part of this economic lockdown is to, not destroy the dollar, to slow down the economy, because there's, they don't want there to be a reckoning of just how much money is out there versus how many goods, because then the shit will go belly up. And why would they want that, right? Why would they want that? This It's all about controlled demolitions, not about just making shit go haywire and ape shit. And people freaking out and going nuts, which will happen to a degree, but I mean, you can't have just pure chaos, because then why would you want to rule over that? Right? You still need slaves to do your work for you. If they kill each other off, I mean, shit, they're gonna go after you next. You don't want that. So, this whole idea of this inevitable dollar crash, it's just a whole bunch of fear mongering and a whole bunch of nonsense. And if and when anything like that ever happens, it's because there's something else in the wings already waiting to replace it. And they're ready to bring it down and make it look like, oops, terrible economic policy. We fucked up, even though they'll never admit to it. But some other smartass trying to sell you gold will point a finger at this or that guy and say, it's all his fault because he's dumb. And this is the Dunning-Kruger effect that pisses me off. All these people thinking they so smart. They figured out that the people that ruled them are even dumber than them. Gold, though, because the Roman emperor says so, right? You need gold to pay your taxes so the economy doesn't implode. So the dollar's not going to crash. It's just going to become something else. Obviously, the digital dollar. Will there be some orchestrated crashes? I mean, yeah, that's how these people make money, right? Buy everything up pennies on the dollar. So yeah, they'll crash this, they'll destroy that, and then they'll buy it up. Oh, the boom boom. Come on. I know it's so scary. It's so scary. It's so scary. The boom boom's so scary. Fear mongering, people. All that shit is fear mongering. So, if you're going to be part of their economy, and, I also am to a large degree, some degree. Not trying to be a hypocrite or nothing, but I guess this type of shit will stress you out. But the less you are part of their economy, and the less you give a shit about all that, right? I'm not saying none of these things are important or these concepts aren't, that they don't matter, or what's actually happening in the world that doesn't matter. Obviously it does, but, I think it's best to first understand what's actually happening so that you can react appropriately to what is happening. If you misdiagnose the disease, you're not going to be able to cure it. And I'm not saying I have all the ideas and all the answers, but there's a lot of people out there who, just because they tell you some truth, if they're trying to sell you something, then they're probably not telling you everything you need to know, that you want to know, basically. And they're using your fear, and they're stoking your fear to use it to profit off of you, basically. Because that's their economy. What are you so scared of? It's such an irrational fear. There has never been a boom boom and an injury. There's never been any sort of negative effect of the boom boom. And yet there you are, deathly afraid of it. It's just noise. For real. It's just noise.